So as I said, B'ezrat Hashem, what we're going to do is we're going to put the learning of Torah Hey, Chelik Beis, on hold for a little while. And we will, it's Hashem, learn Torah Ches in the second Chelik, Likutey Moharan, which was also said about, on this pasuk of Tiku B'chodesh Shofar, Kesel Yom Chageinu. Thank you so much. It says also in that particular pasuk. This pasuk speaks about Rosh Hashanah. It says Tiku B'chodesh Shofar, blow the shofar, on the Chodesh Kesel Yom Chageinu, in the time when the moon is covered, which means it's Rosh Chodesh, Rosh Hashanah, because usually all the Yom Tovim are on the 15th of the month. There isn't any other Yom Tov on Rosh Chodesh except for Rosh Hashanah. That's it. It's Torah Ches. We're not Torah Hey or Torah Ches. No, we're going to put the Niana Hey on hold for a while. And the Torah Ches in the second Chelik. Tinyana Torah Ches. Yes. The Rebbe says as follows. Afalpi, even though, where's Rabbi Moshe, by the way? He didn't go up to it. Okay. Even though admonishment is a big thing, and it's a mitzvah for everyone from Israel to admonish his fellow Jew. When he sees that his fellow Jew is not behaving the way he should, you should admonish your fellow Jew. And he says, it repeats itself. Any place that we say, it means you should keep on doing it. Like it says about tzedakah, the 2010. In other words, you have to repeatedly give. So you have to repeat it. So they say, how much? What is the limit that a person needs to admonish his fellow Jew? So the Torah says, "At kedei hakol," until he hits you. He hits you. Once he hits you, leave him alone.
Until you can receive the Torah.
Yeah, you keep on admonishing him, unless he hits you. If he hits you, then you stop. You don't. Now you think, how it's going to happen? Hey, come on, this has been ridiculous. Well, I'll tell you, something happened to me. Yeah. That's what happened to me. Many, many years ago, and I mean many, many years ago, after I finished, I finished the army, I became religious and everything. I was still doing miluim. I was a reservist in the army. And there was all kinds of confusion with my military file. Now, there were not computers then. It was not computerized then. So it was a physical file. They had to move from one place to the other. So,
many years ago.
Yes. It was about 40, 44 years ago.
What did you do in the army?
I was in intelligence.
Intelligence?
Mm-hmm.
Which one?
Not sure which one. It's
Navy.
it's
Air Force.
no. No, I don't speak Arabic. It was just general intelligence, just the army intelligence. Anyhow, I served during the Kippur War. That wasn't the intelligence finest hour, just like the November 7th. It wasn't the intelligence finest hour. So it's not a big boast to say, I was serving the intelligence. Even though we were convinced, a smaller guy in intelligence, that war was coming, but nobody wanted to listen. So anyhow, be that as it may. So I was moved here and there. When I was discharged, they really didn't know what to do with me. So they put me, I would go with a band of reservist gypsies to various army camps, and we would stand guard, shmira, the gate or whatever it is we needed to do. So I was already into Yiddishkeit, and I was talking my head off. I would talk to anyone and anything that moved, just like nonstop. And the thing is that I was very enthusiastic, and people listened. They're like, and quite quickly, it became like a thing. And in that army camp, during that, I was giving lectures, shiurim, whatever it is, the little I know. I was just like talking like, no. And and I was like respected by the people, and whatever it is that was going on, it was like nothing, just a little young Balchur. It was like anyhow, the reservists were all grizzled veteran reservists, like people much older than me. They were like then, like in their 30s, 40s, around, I was in my 20s, like, and so one of the guys was boasting that, of what a lady killer he is, and whatever it is, the kind of this kind of and lo and behold, he actually came boast to us that he already made appointments, whatever it is, with so I called that girl, that was serving in the camp. I said, "What are you doing?" So she said, "What?" So what are you talking about? But the older reservists are already making a list. Who's next? What are you doing? You nuts? Well, whether she believed me or not, it doesn't matter, because we already knew that I knew. So obviously the guy spoke about it. So she didn't go. And so he came and he beat me up. He spilled whole coffee on me and he beat me up, or whatever it is. So I went, and after I finished the reserves, I went to Shalim and I met with the Rebbe Chesed, who was my Rav then, Zechet Tzadik Kodesh Livrocha, and I told him the story. So he says, "He beat you up? He hit you?" I said, "Yeah." So he repeats it, "He hit you?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Don't go there anymore." I was like, speaking like a child. What do you mean, don't go there anymore? They call you for reserves, you go. What do you mean, don't go there anymore? What do you mean, what's this, like a catch as you can, like it's not a volunteer duty. It's kind of, okay. I didn't say anything. The next time they called me to reserve duty, very, very quickly, I got to speaking with the guy was second in command, also a young pup. Hey, come on. It was, bubbling and blah, 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 whatever. And almost like the second day, the third day I was there, or something like that, I spoke to him and he said, if you talk, if you sit with me, if you're willing, if you have the guts to talk to me, Friday night, you're coming to a nightclub with me.
What? Let's say that again.
He said, Friday night, you'll be going to a nightclub with me. In other words, I'm gonna,
Challenge.
yeah, I'm gonna, I'm gonna take these nonsense out of your head. So I said, you come and sit with me. The next Shabbos, you'll go Agva in the shul with me. So that evening, it was my duty. I stood by the entrance, the Shingimel, it's the lowest. You can't go any lower than that. The Shingimel is like, and he came, the second in command came, he came sit with me. And so you said you were speaking to me about the existence of the creator. So I said, there's a book that was written by a brain researcher, whatever his name, Nigel Calder. It's called The Brain. And he wrote there that once the brain is fully mapped out, because different areas are responsible for different functions, whatever it is, once the brain is fully mapped, you'll be able to take a person, put it in a lab, and put this kind of a helmet on, with electrodes, whatever, and project a whole movie into his head. Movie into his head. You can show him like he's in the desert. He'll feel the heat. He'll feel thirsty. Whatever it is, and everything was he's just sitting there, in the lab, and just with electrodes all over. And there, once it gets sophisticated enough, they're able to do that. So I said, okay, here. So I asked him, do I exist? So he said, yeah. I said, how do you know? He says, what do you mean, how do I know? He reached out his hand, he touched me. I said, how do you know this is not you're not sitting in the lab and suddenly projecting it to you, that you're touching me? I said, but one thing is for sure. There's you. There's a projection. There's somebody who's projecting. That's for sure. Whether it's real or it's not real. There's your, cognition, your awareness that takes reality in. There's the reality itself that you're getting in. And there's somebody who's projecting to you. So the guy was stunned. He got up and he left. And the next day, he took me away from guard duty, and I started giving lectures to people in the camp. It was a camp of Gadna. Gadna is like it's not training. It's for teenagers. It's like paramilitary and military kind of whatever it is. And I would, I started giving them lectures, whatever it is, and they moved away from me with all the rest of it. They put me in the officers' quarters, whatever the whole thing was going on. And the next time, they sent me to Kasher, the Air Force Base in the Negev. And
How many
after
years he's been in Cuba at that point?
uh, 2, 3 years. Just a pup, with a big mouth. Anyhow, so after 2 days, I came down with a fever. They had to send me back. And for the next time, they actually moved my file somewhere. And nobody could find it anymore. And to this day, I've never been back to the reserve. Don't go there anymore. You can see the same thing with, because Baruch Hu said, that's it. From now on, man is going to live 120 years, right? It didn't happen on the spot. The next thing you know, Noach was, like 600 years. And it kept on going down and down and down and down and down until it became 120 years. It wasn't on one shot. I expected something either to come down from heaven. You know what? That's it. You're not coming in anymore. If that was and no, it took one, and it became 2. But the 3rd time, that's it. Finished. Don't go there anymore. Finished. So, ad she'akenu, until he's going to be slapped. What can you do? So, Rabbeinu says, even though it says that, not every person is worthy, is capable of admonishing his fellow Jew. And Rabbeinu explains, what does it mean, capable? Well, you see he's doing something wrong. He's like, hey, yo, dude, what's up with you? Obviously, this is not what we're talking about. Rabbi Akiva, in the Gemara, Maseches Erchin, he said, Tameani, I wonder, if there is in this generation, anybody who is capable of admonishing. Obviously, we're talking about properly admonishing. Rabbeinu is going to explain what does it mean to properly admonish. When it says, if Rabbi Akiva said it in his generation, of the Holy Tanaim, in our generation, who can say that he can? Rabbi Akiva was wondering if any of the Tanaim, he was the Rebbe of Shimon Bar Yochai. He was the Rebbe of Rabbi Meir Balanes. Rabbi Yossi Bar Gisman. Rabbi Yeshua. Rabbi Akiva, in his generation, he says, I wonder if anybody's capable in this generation to admonish. This is in our generation. So what are we talking about? So it says, because when the admonisher is not fit, is not worthy of admonishing, as lo dai she'einu mo'il b'tzochachta, not only that he doesn't do any good in his admonishment, af gam hu mav'ish reach haneshomes asherim tochachta. He's making the neshomes of the people who hear his admonishment, it makes them stink by themselves. Because it is through his pointing out what's wrong with them. When a person does that, he is awakening the stench of the bad deeds, the bad midos of the people that he's admonishing. It's better enough when somebody, admonishes somebody, and he's wrong. Even then, it's very embarrassing, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very unpleasant. But if the guy is right, it makes it doubly hard. You're right. Can you do? Rabbeinu says, gives an example. When there is a lump of something which doesn't smell good, as long as you don't move that, you don't feel the bad smell. It's like, doesn't dissipate. It's just like a. But when you start moving that substance, then you recreate the stench, the bad smell. The same thing happens through the admonishment of anybody who is not fit, is not good enough to admonish. What you do then is you are awakening the bad smell, the stench of the bad deeds, the bad midos of the people that you admonish. He causes them to feel the stench of their ma'asim, like their own stench. And from that he is awakening their neshamas. When the neshamas are becoming weaker, every single Jewish neshama has countless spiritual universes that are hanging on it, that depend on it. And when a person admonishes, a person who is not fit to admonish, he admonishes, he causes these neshamas to stink up by themselves. Like they become disgusted with themselves, to the point that the neshama becomes weak. And all the universes, they become weaker, and the oilmas, the bounty that comes mishamayim to these universes that are dependent on less neshama, that bounty stops. Rabbeinu explains this is a principle that we have explained already. Something is well known. The Gemara says, "Ezu davar, what is a thing? Shaneshama nenes mimeno. Neshama enjoys the lower guf, but not the body. Zeorech, that's the smell." How do you know that we make a bracha on a smell? Every neshama will give praise to Hashem. What is the thing? What is the substance that the neshama has enjoyment from, but the body doesn't? This is the smell. It is through that defective admonisher. He is stinking up their own smell, and that weakens the neshama. That is beyond from the reach. Its livelihood comes from the reach. And that automatically stops the bounty, the shefa that goes to these spiritual universes, because that shefa, that bounty comes through him. And if the neshama suddenly has koyach, whatever shefa comes, probably, is come to just like prop up that neshama and cannot go weiter. I'm not sure that this is the explanation, but yeah, since we don't have a Moshe here, he's the one that makes brachos word for word, kavana. So we have to make up for him. As it were. Okay, we got the principle. Aval, however, when the admonisher is good enough, is fit to admonish, is a madrega to admonish, and we will learn later on what does that mean, what does it require. Is actually adding a good smell to these neshamas. Al dafka through his admonishment. The admonishment has to resemble the teichecha that Moshe Rabbeinu admonished Am Yisrael before he passed away, and all the different admonishment that he gave them throughout his lifetime. There's a major difference, you'll notice. Throughout the Torah, Moshe Rabbeinu was telling the Jewish people off. He did not mention what their aveiros were. Just said, listen, you did a bad thing. You did a huge bad thing. But I didn't say what it was. Moshe Rabbeinu, that throughout the Chumash, Atem chatosim chato gdoilo, you sinned a great, grave sin. You spoke about the egel, the golden calf, but he didn't mention what it was. Just said, you did a big boo-boo. Only before he passed away, then he admonished them, and he mentioned the different aveiros. Same thing was with Yaakov Avinu. Yaakov Avinu did not admonish his children specifically, did not mention their aveiros. He told them, you did bad. The result of what you did was no good. Like Shimon and Levi that went and eradicated the town of Shechem. I said, you caused me to become the enemy of all the people around. He didn't tell them what it is that only before he passed away. Then he started going one by one, mentioning it every single aveir. Moshe Rabbeinu admonished the Jewish people on the Maaseh Egel. It is through his admonishment. He actually instilled good smell in them. It says in Shir HaShirim, Ad Shamer B'Msiba, the king in his ball, near the Nosan Reicha. In other words, something bad happened that caused, a smell to be given. So Moshe Rabbeinu did not say lokach. He didn't say that the good smell was taken. The good smell near the lokach, near the kinanerd, is one of the spices that really smell good. ונאמר המעשה העגל, עוזב לא נאמר אלא נוסון. The Gemara says, it does not say he took away, but the smell left them. He says noson, he gave them, he inserted good smell in them. Moshe Rashi Piresh, the same Gemara Shabbos. Nirdi is something that has a good smell. So supposedly you would have to say, when he admonished them, that the good smell left them. But that's not what he said. Because Baruch Hu still shows the Jewish people the affection that he has for them. He says, noson, he gave the good smell. Shon chavivas, we still have the good smell in us. It is through the admonishment of Moshe, al Maisa Egel, for that deed of the Egel as well. Hoisif and noson reach tov, he added in sudden more good smell. This is soul food, literally. That's the sustenance for the neshama. If you cause the neshama to stink up, it takes its sustenance away, becomes weaker. It stands to reason, therefore, that if you cause good smell, so it becomes stronger. This is the sustenance of the neshama. The main sustenance of the neshama is from the smell. Because it is through the voice. This is when we're already starting to go into a next phase of what it is the Mochiach, the admonisher needs to have. Is through the voice. There's a quality about the voice of the admonisher that gives a good smell in the neshamas. That's the soul food, the sustenance of the soul. So we have to understand.
You have a good smell, it doesn't mean the person has to do tshuva or the person to stink.
I'll give you an example. Let's say a child did something bad. He lied. If a parent was to say, "What did you do? You're a bad boy. You're a liar." What happens? The child's not going to stop lying. What he does, he causes the child to stink by himself. He holds him to be stinky. I'm a liar. But if the father was to say, surprised at you, a good boy like you're tzaddik. That's not like you. That's not the Moshe I know. Must have had a bad day. You're far better than that. He admonished his kid, but he made the kid feel 10 foot tall, right? I'm a tzaddik. I shouldn't be doing these kind of things. This is what it means that the Teichacha instills a good smell. It encourages tshuva. Now, it's very important to understand that by Anash, it is said that these kind of things, this difference between the admonishment of Yaakov and of Moshe Rabbeinu, and during their lifetime, was never with any details. But before they passed away, they actually made an admonishment with details. And that means that it is by that time, when they were already zoicha, to a Is'erus Melamala before they passed away. So the Shechina came down to Yaakov Avinu and Moshe Rabbeinu B'vadai. Then, when they mentioned the specific Averis, they actually inserted more Reach Tov in the Neshamas. They already zoichet to that Pchinas Kol. Beforehand, they didn't mention Averis. This has a very practical nafkamina l'maisa. On one hand, we have a mitzvah d'oraisa of ocheach tocheres abitech. You're supposed to admonish your fellow Jew. On the other hand, Rabbeinu says over here, if you're not fit to do it, you're only going to cause damage. So how are you going to do? How do you know when you finally got the voice? Oh, wait, what's that? What are you going to do? So by Irish, the answer was, you have to speak with your friends about Yerushalayim. You have to speak to your friends about the fact that no one stays in this world forever. Remember, the time comes and nothing that you have in this world amounts to hill beans. If you're guarding your machshava, if you're guarding your inayim, if you're guarding your speech, then ashrecha v'tov lach. But if not, as we said many times, there's literally hell to pay. That's the kind of teichacho you're admonishing a person. But you're not saying you did this or you did that. You don't do any of that. You just say, this is what needs to be done. Nosson goes even further. He says that when you see your fellow Jew that goes on a derech that you know to be wrong. As I said, mention it once, twice, 3 times, and then stop. Why? He says, because you never know. Maybe he's supposed to take that road. Talking about the virus. I don't know, you have any ideas, supposed to, I don't want to give examples. But just say, Rabbeinu means this, or he means that, he's supposed to do this, supposed to do that. And he's going the wrong way. You're makabel already from honest, that the derech hayosher is not that. So you say once, you don't think that way, you don't think, then you see he does not receive, let him go. Leave him alone. One of the important nakudas that people need to understand about admonishing anyone. It can be a child, it could be a spouse, it could be a friend. Children know what is right and what is wrong without you. They see you behaving. If you are an Elachiyid, they know what's right and what's wrong. They can be dissuaded by different forces in the meantime. But that doesn't take away from them the knowledge of what's really right and what's really wrong. If you are doing everything you're doing with the Medak Noyam in a pleasant way, they'll come around. if you're trying to control people with anger, which is something that many of us do at certain points in our lives, it only backfires. You know, people that have children, especially they have a few children, and there's a one child that is like a troublemaker, that is like demanding attention all the time. When that child grows, and let's say that this, the parents of this child, let's say, go to a therapist or whatever it is, you know what the child will say? You never gave me anything. And the parents like scratch their heads. We never gave you anything. You got more than all your siblings put together. How can you say never got anything? The answer is he's right. He never got anything. He forced his parents to give in. He forced his parents to say, okay, just take it and leave me alone. He didn't get. He took. That's why he feels I never got anything. The real tragedy of children being dealt with great anger is that they behave badly, not because they're bad children. They behave badly because they're good children. Wait. Time out. What do you mean? You just, they behave badly. And you say because they're good children. You don't make no sense. The answer is, if a parent made a child feel that he's a bad boy or a bad girl, that child will behave badly because he's a good child. He will do what it is that you are bad. So if I'm a good boy, what am I supposed to do? Behave badly because you told me that I'm bad. It's a tragedy. It's very difficult to get out of it. The toichacha, the best toichacha that we are capable of, especially when it has to do with our children or with our spouses, is to give them a cause they can identify with. Let's say that the child lies. You have to tell the child, this is not the right thing to do. He says, well, but I didn't lie. He says, no, that's not true. You did lie. And we don't lie. By this house, we don't lie. If that happens to be true, and Taka, in your house, you don't lie, that gives the child something to rally behind. Hey, I belong to the tribe who don't lie. Yay. But if I myself lie, and I tell my child not to lie, I will never tell it to him in a nice way, because I feel guilty by myself. and there's nothing to rally behind. So in my face, he will make, fakes of a tzaddik. Behind my back, he'll do whatever he wants. The same thing applies to a spouse. Darken oil, to the best of your ability. And if they go and they do something and that is already out, okay. That's the way they're supposed to do, and they're supposed to go, and it's not, to me, it's not I can control. Right now, we are in a state of war. And there's a very interesting Gemara, Seches Brachas, in Daf Yud, I think, Pesach Yud, Aleph. I just saw it last night, I don't remember which stuff it is. The Gemara says that Eliyahu Novi said to Kodesh Baruch Hu, and then when he goes on Mount Carmel, with all the two oxen, the priests of the Baal shechted their own ox, and he shechted his own ox. He says the challenge was they're both going to be shechting their oxes and going to put them on an altar of wood, with wood, and they won't put any fire to it. What they'll do is they will call their deity, and Eliyahu Novi will call HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And he says, and the one that brings down the fire, that's the real God. So the Gemara, a different Gemara says that Enochinami, they knew, that they can scream, which the way they did, to high heaven, nothing happens. So they hid someone in the pile of wood, and Hashem sent a snake. It bit him, and he died. So they were calling and calling and calling and calling. So I don't know, we told him, call him even louder, maybe he's asleep. Maybe your deity is busy, doesn't have time for you. And then he says, Aneni Hashem Aneni. Answer me, Hashem, answer me. So why he says twice? The Gemara says in Seches Brachas, first Aneni is make fire come down from heaven. Because not only he shechted the ox, he told the people, he made like a moat around the Mizbeach. He told them to pour water on the ox, on the stone, on the wood, more water and more, just to prove to them it's completely out of nature. Let fire come from heaven and eat the korban. And the second one, Eliyahu Novi says, "Asech datam," distract them, so they won't say that this is witchcraft. What does a distraction help? Why, if they are distracted, they won't say that it was witchcraft? They will admit that it's a miracle. The answer is, when a person is in his right, like in his right mind, quote unquote, he has his opinions. He's made his opinions, made up, and he doesn't care for the facts. In fact, any proof, quote unquote, that you will give him to the contrary of what he thinks, he will already interpret it as a proof, further proof that he's right. Like, all the people that are speaking about the prime minister. One says that everybody says he's guilty. One says that he's afraid. Another says, no, he's not afraid. He doesn't care. Or, whatever it is they thought before, any kind of thing that he's going to say is going to further proof that they were right all along. but there's something which is called attention interrupt. It's a phenomenon. When a person is in a certain state of mind, and suddenly an explosion happens, a thunder, boom. A person goes, his heart jumps. For a very short period of time, all the preconceived ideas disappear. And there's a short window in which that person is open to whatever it is that you tell him right then and there. Short of a miracle, they recognize that it's a miracle. If you show them witchcraft, they would know that it's witchcraft. The first one will come and tell them. In other words, almost like hypnotism, like in a hypnotic state. They're like perceptive to any message you're going to give at that particular window. So I never told them Hasech Das and distract them from their way of thinking, their preconceived ideas. So they'll create that window that when the miracle happened, they'll go, yes, it's a miracle. Because if they're, this old guy, forget about it, it never happened, whatever it is, he's not capable of this, the whole thing is baloney, it's a joke, whatever it is. If I would come down, forget about it. I told you, either it's witchcraft or it's trickery. It's only proof to the preconceived that it had to be distracted. We got a very swift kick in the pants, November 7th. This entire country. November 7th. October 7th. So, I'm not good in the months. 50 years ago, it was my October War. Yom Kippur. Oh, this October 7th, I should remember. Anyhow, everybody was slapped. Everybody woke up. Everybody was exposed, for a window in the entire world. But its window is closing. It's closing around the world. And eventually it'll close here as well. We need this time to be done, everybody at Kaf's The Kaf's house. Does everybody favorably. Do favors to other people. Darkenoyim. Be Makarv people because now they're open. It's not going to last. Whatever impression we're going to give now, I'm Klapei Shamayim. The impression we're going to give now, that's the impression that's going to get in. With our brethren and Klapei Shamayim. I actually saw somebody, I don't know who he is, some kind of a leftist, whatever it is, an artist, whatever. And he said that he went to visit a guy that was wounded in the Rebbe. He saved many people, whatever it is. He lost a hand. I'm not sure what Rebbe was going on. And he came to visit him. He played music for him. And he says that person told him, when this happened, this whole calamity happened on Simchas Torah. Simchas Torah is a day in which, at the end of Sukkot, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tells Am Yisrael, stay with me one more day. It's the fact that you are going away, you're drifting away, is hard for me. Stay with me one more day. So this wounded person told him, Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us this kick in the pants to remind us, it's hard, Kadosh Baruch Hu says, it's hard for me the fact that you are drifting away from one another. We know what happened last couple of years. All culminated in this, whatever happened in Erev Yom Kippur, Hashem Racham, in Tel Aviv. Everybody woke up. Boom. Hashem should help us, Mizrat Hashem, to talk Dibur B'Shir Shemayim. V'darkim Noyam. Tochlim Tzchus. Everybody is open now. Everybody is receptive now. Hashem will help us, Mizrat Hashem, to hold a good Shabbos and a wonderful week. And a week of Yeshuas, Nechamas, and Nisim, Mizrat Hashem. Mizrat Hashem is zecher to Geula Shleima, B'nira Me'ameinu, Mizrat Hashem, Birach Mashiach Tzidkeinu, Mizrat Hashem. As we say, Mashiach now, right? Mizrat Hashem. We have to tell HaKadosh Baruch Hu, this is what we want. I mean, we need the Geula, we need it now.
I think I read somewhere when we sing the book in the morning,